Hello. I first time doing this, so I don't know if this is working or not. Am I on? I guess everybody's there. Can you hear me okay? Okay, so everybody can hear. Okay, good. Okay, I take it my volume's good and everybody's great. Okay, perfect. Awesome, awesome. So, all right, it's awesome to see everybody here. So, very cool. So one of the things, if you see me looking off to the side, it's because I'm actually reading your chat on a monitor over here, but my camera's over here. So that's the way it's going to be. But so one of the things I wanted to bust out for everybody right away, as you can see, the my background is totally different. I'm in a completely different room. And the reason is because I tore down my circle room. I had to tear it down completely and pack it all away. So for those of you who are wondering why, it's not because I'm leaving Wicca or anything like that, or witchcraft or nothing like that, but I am going through a major transition right now. So that being said, I know that I just been through that a couple of months ago where I was telling people that and to bear with me, but I'm gonna have to ask you to bear with me again one more time going forward. So I'm still gonna make videos every week, but I'm gonna have to do it in a little bit different setting because I'm actually moving from South Florida to New Hampshire. So it probably will take a good month or two. So my next few videos are going to be out and about, maybe in the forest somewhere, maybe in the woods down here in the South Florida, or maybe in this room right here. This is my music room. This is my band room, actually. So this is where my computer setup is. So that's why everything's my camera's here and everything else. So I'm gonna get cold. Yeah. Well, yeah, no, I've been told. I mean, I went up there a few times. I mean, the first time I ever saw snow literally was like, back in October. But I've been going to New Hampshire back and forth a couple of times, and I completely just fell in love with it. And it's like the number one state to live in right now in America, in all the country. For like the last 4 years running, it's like the number one state to live in. Like it beats out everywhere else. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm like, I love the Four Seasons. When I was up there, I felt more magical than I have here in my life. So I'm like, I'm going up there. And plus I know a bunch of people up there already. There's a bunch of other fellow witches up there. There's a bunch of fellow Gardnerians up there. So I'm going, man. I'm going. So I'm taking the leap. I was born and raised in South Florida, lived here my whole life, but I'm heading up. I know. Everybody's saying it's cold. Too far. Jeez. Cauldron and the Ivy. You 6 states and have lived in 7. Jeez. So we've got quite a few people. I'm gonna have to scroll back up here. I'm gonna be going to the Manchester area up there. The band hasn't been rocking it in over a year now. Witch's Mark is pretty much like put the is. I mean, I don't think I'm gonna do it anymore. The band. If I might start a new band, I probably will start a new band. Once a musician, always a musician. You never really give it up, but Witch's Mark, I'm not so sure about anymore. Maybe Karina and Twig will carry it on. I'm actually giving them everything you see behind you. What you can't even see most of it. There's an entire front of house and lighting system off to the side. that you can't even see. But all of that, I'm leaving it all to them. I'm giving all of it to them so that they can continue on doing, working the music and stuff like that. My coven is actually, I just it's not ending. I'm starting a new one. I'm going to bring in a new set of people. The way Gardnerian witchcraft works is it kind of goes in I'd say basically like sort of like in you have like groups like so that last about 5 years, and then ultimately everybody gets thirded, and then they start their own groups. So you still stay in contact with all those people, and they still come and circle with you from time to time and things like that. But for the most part, you and like I have a pagan group that I'll start from scratch all over again. When I get to New Hampshire, I'll do some interviews, I'll talk to some people, and I'll end up bringing people and creating a whole new coven. And that'll last until those people are, go through first degree, second degree, and third degree, and then ultimately they'll spawn off and start their own coven, and then I'll start a whole nother coven again from scratch. It's about a 5-year process. If you were to put a time frame to it, which you really can't put a time frame to it, but if you were to put a time frame to it, it's pretty much like that. Not everybody makes it to third degree. Some people don't, but usually those people don't stick around, period. So anybody who sticks around is usually makes it to third degree. So is there any way to join my coven online? Unfortunately, no. We don't really train. I don't really train. No Gardnerian really trains long distance or online or anything. It's an in-person deal. But if you get a hold of me back channel, wherever state you're in, I could most likely set you up with a coven in that state. So I'm gonna keep an eye on the chat here. If anybody has any questions they want to ask specifically, I'll address them at this point. We're gonna take this to about, for I'm guessing for about an hour, so about 8:30 or so. And the reason I'm doing this live Q&A, to be honest with you guys, is because I had been so busy trying to get my house ready. It actually goes it's on the market now, but it actually has people coming on Saturday, an open house for people to buy it, to give us bids and everything. So I've been super, super busy trying to get the house ready, and I just didn't have time to make a video. So I thought the next best thing would just go live and talk to you guys. Okay. Hey, man, and with all the names for the god and goddess, my question is it acceptable to refer to them as god and goddess or lord and lady until you develop an affinity or for specific names? It is completely acceptable to do that. As a matter of fact, I don't work with gods and goddesses with their names. I work with the masculine and feminine myself. When I address in my coven, I don't have a god and goddess name. I say lord and lady. That's it. That's what I use. Lord and lady. I'm in that mind frame. There's basically 3 levels that people believe in the gods. There's people who ultimately, there's 3 tiers. There's the first tier, which is just one. It's just one entity, so to speak, that is unfathomable, that it's unmentionable. And it's not God, the Christian God that like people would think it is. It's not like that. It's just a masculine and feminine combined. That's very technical and very hard to get into because a lot of people they reassociate it back to Christianity and everything as the one true God and stuff like that. But it's not like that. So, but I'm just explaining where it starts. Then there's the second tier, which is Lord and Lady, God and Goddess, masculine and feminine. That's where I'm at. That's what I believe in. I believe that this world and everything in it and everything around us and all of creation is because of God and Goddess. Lord and Lady, this masculine and feminine. The third tier is the gods and goddesses that we know of as the Greek and the Roman and the Egyptian gods and goddesses, where they're personified. That third tier is where humans have taken and they've given this masculine and feminine energy. They've broken it down into multiple masculines and feminines, gods and goddesses, and they've given them human traits like Zeus, Aphrodite, Ra, Osiris, Bacchus, and they've given them all human traits. I don't like that. I don't mess with that. I think I stick to the fact that the gods and goddesses, that my god and goddess is masculine and feminine and very powerful, and I don't try to make them human. I understand that those energies created everything around us and everything, including us and everything in this world, and that's where I keep it. So, to answer your question, absolutely, you can just say Lord and Lady and God and Goddess. It's my preferred method. How does one practice in a coven sky club when someone is on the monthly? So usually what happens is when someone's on their monthly, on their moon, they will wear a sarong. They can, if they want, they can wear a sarong. Um, that's your answer. They can wear a sarong if they want. Most of the girls in my coven, they honestly, they don't really wear pads. So they just don't wear anything. They just come into circle because they're not wearing a pad. So like where they have to do something like that. So pretty much they just continue as normal. Podcast I listened to had interview about someone into quantum hypnosis. Have you heard of it? First time I've heard of it. I've never heard of that before. Quantum hypnosis? Nope. Witchcraft has been very whitewashed and overpopularized due to TikTok and that kind of crap. They now tend to put pretty names on everything and all kinds of weird things. Yeah, TikTok. I don't really use TikTok, but I've heard of this whole thing of witch talk. I guess that I've heard other content creators talk about and everything, and I heard that it's pretty lame. That it can be pretty out there. So I don't know. I just go off their opinion. I personally don't watch it, so I don't know. Can you can you offer a spell to mix all my cats into one four-headed Hydra cat that will grow another cat head if it gets chopped off? Ask. Yeah, right. From what you have experienced, do you think this journey is better being absolutely solo, at least at first? I mean, I started solo, to be honest with you. 30 something years ago. I started as a solitary practitioner. But I pretty much got my friends ended up working with me after about a few months, so I didn't stay solitaire very long. And from there, I've never worked solitaire again. But I think most people start as solitaires, to be honest with you. But I totally recommend getting with a group of people because even if it doesn't necessarily mean you have to work with those people, but I completely recommend finding other pagans in your area to be able to talk and collaborate things and just be able to to be able to talk to other people about things. It gets pretty lonely, and to hear other people's opinions and for other people to hear your opinions is very important in this whole witchcraft thingy. Do you think working with the Fae is good? I completely love working with the Fae. It's one of my main things. I love working with the Fae. Absolutely, it's good. You can watch one of my videos I have on the fairy realm, and there's another thing I have, another video out there that I put out just before it, or just after it, one of the two, where it's actually working. It's a path working so that you can work with a fairy companion. So we got 110 people. Wow, I didn't expect that. I'm gonna scroll up a little bit. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for coming. There's over 100 people on here. Got a coven in Bethlehem, Georgia. I'm sure there's actually covens in Georgia. Absolutely. You know what you need to do? There's actually a Facebook page called Gardnerian Seekers, I believe. Um, Gardnerian and Alexandrian Seekers. If you go to that, that's actually a place where you can go and kind of like volley for wherever you live, and somebody will answer you. If there's a priest or priestess in that area, they'll answer you and let you know. Anybody who wants me to try to help them find a coven, after this live stream, back channel me through my email address on one of my videos, or through Messenger or something like that, and I can try to help you out. Yeah, Mandragora Magica is another great site to check out. That's usually what I'll when someone's not looking for some specific Gardnerian, but I'll send them to Mandragora Magica. If they're looking for something specifically Gardnerian or Alexandrian, I'll take them a different route. If I come ferrying to a ferrying, I imagine, can I enter the circle or do avoid the entry? If I come upon a ferry, if I come around a ferry ring, in which I have in the wild, out in the woods, I stay away from. I respect it. I just kind of stay. I kind of will observe and everything, but I don't go inside of it. I mean, I just don't. That's just me. I just don't feel like I need to be in there. But kind of like, I feel like it's kind of like invading their home. Why not stay on the outside of it? And if you want to try to communicate, let them come to you. Gardnerian Wicca Seekers and Initiates is the name of the Facebook group. Thank you very much, Gina. How do you deal with backlash from friends, family of a Christian faith that look at you cross-eyed just because you're doing evil or wrong in their eyes? Dealing with this with my father. Well, that's kind of a loaded question, because if you are living in your parents' home or living in your parents' house, and especially if you're a minor, or even if you're not, you got to respect their wishes. And you got to kind of like follow what they want you to do. You're going to have to kind of keep a clamp on it if they don't want you, they don't want to see it, hear it, whatever. You got to respect their wishes. If it's just something where you just have family members and they're having a problem with it, I mean, depending on the situation and depending on, you have to feel that one out as far as, is it a situation where you can maybe sit them down one day and explain it in detail and kind of give them a better picture of it? Or if it's something where that person is just not going to accept it no matter what, then just keep it to yourself. I mean, it's just going to cause waves. And to be honest with you, when people are set in stone with their mind frame about certain things, especially stuff like this, you're not going to change their mind. So you almost have to wait for their mind to change and let them come to you. And maybe one day they'll come to you and ask you, hey, can you explain this a little bit better? I'd like to know more. I'm going to try to get to you guys' questions. Apparently there's a lot. There's a lot of questions. So I'm going to kind of. What's the quickest way to contact a demon? I don't think there is a quick way to contact a demon, to be honest with you. There is ritual that you can do. I've done it myself. I've worked with it from time to time. I've worked with the Lesser Key of Solomon. But I don't think you want a quick way to contact a demon, to be honest with you. That's just asking for, confusion, so to speak. Let's see. What are some hard lessons you've learned with coven work? Man, that's like that could be a whole video on itself. Um, I would think one of the biggest lessons that I've learned in working with a coven is that your true, no matter how much you think you know, and no matter how much you think you've learned, until you've worked with a coven and especially run a coven as a priest or priestess, that's when you really start learning. When you start teaching is when you really start learning. That's one lesson I learned for sure. Another lesson is that I think is very important is that everybody has, not everybody thinks the same. Everybody's got their own opinions. Everybody's got their own mind frame. You have to be very open to other people's mind frames and their ideas. You can't be closed-minded. You can't be, you can't think that like your way is the only way and what you think is the only way to do it. You have to be very open for everybody's ideas and everybody's mind frames. If you're not, your coven will not last. You can't be a dictator. Do you have a favorite deity to work with outside of oathbound names? I don't work with any deity. I work with the masculine and feminine. A lot of people don't understand that. Like they're stuck on deities, on specific deities. I work with the Lord and Lady in general. I don't work with a god or goddess specific. I don't work with, say, Zeus and Aphrodite. I just work with the masculine and feminine, and that's it. Were you nervous forming your first coven? Man, that was a long time ago. I don't remember. I probably was. Did you ever make your own tarot or oracle cards? No, but I have modified my tarot cards to I have modified tarot cards that I work with. But I haven't made my own. Can you receive a tattoo from unseen forces? I have a symbol that I never put on my body, and I'm trying to find someone who can tell me what it means. Never heard of that before, but if you know it's something that happened and you find out more about it, please let me know more about that. Trickster spirits, maybe fairies. What about them? I mean, yeah, they're out there for sure, absolutely, especially right about now, right in the summertime and in the spring, starting in the spring, going through the summer, absolutely. If you're working with the spirits or fae or something like that, and you start feeling tricksters out there, call them out on it, and give them offerings, make a little altar outside or in a space where if you're in an apartment or something that you can, and give them offerings because they are very real and they're very much in effect right now. So absolutely acknowledge them. Once you acknowledge them, that's usually enough and they kind of calm down, because the only reason they're being mischievous is because they want your attention. How can I get a counter curse? Honestly, I'm a big advocate of the witch's bottle, which I have a video on that. I would create a witch's bottle, and then there's no reason to counter curse, because it's going to take everything right there. I'll end up doing a video on hexing, cursing, and jinxing ultimately, which are 3 different things. But as far as getting into counter cursing, right away, I would concentrate, maybe just do a witch's bottle to start things off. Mannun, have you ever considered setting the execution of a tarot as a second admission task? I'm not sure what you mean by that question, to be honest with you, so I can't really answer it. Yeah, this is a live feed right now. It's not a video, so I'm talking at you live. My kitty. Let's see your kitty, please. Yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. Maybe next time. What is the best material for making an altar? I think the best altar material is if you can find something in the wild, something in the woods where you can find like a downed tree or something like that, and you actually cut from the trunk of the tree and make like an altar surface. That's what I feel. Other than that, always wood. My altars are always made out of wood. Oh, April Whitaker, thank you. So that's okay. I saw your video on the witch bottle, and I wonder, will you dig it up when you leave or leave it there? I'll leave it there. You never dig a witch's bottle back up. You never ever do it. You just once it's there, that's it. It's gone. You leave it. Never dig it up. When you move somewhere, you go somewhere else. You make a new one. This glass contains. Cheers. That's my favorite. My husband died 3 months ago yesterday, and I need to know if there's a way to know for sure that he didn't get stuck here. I need to know that he's not stuck here. I would I did a video on passing over ritual, on a crossing over ritual. Watch that video and maybe do that ritual, and then you'll know that he's moved on. But I'm sure he's moved on. I don't think he's stuck here. Do you know what is the Hebrew goddess of peace? I don't know that at all. Maybe somebody in the chat will know that. I don't know. Okay. Okay, hold on a second. She likes to be in here anyway. This is everybody's asking to show me the kitty. So this is one of my kitties right here. This is Holly. She's super fat, like me. Look at the size of this turd ball. Okay, go run around. Did you ever manifest things while sitting on the loo? Yeah, quite a bit. Once people move on from the living, does it take a year for them to travel to and from wherever? If anybody answers that, they're full of shit. We don't know what happens when we die. And anybody who tells you that they do know what happens after you've passed on, run. My guitars in the background are they're mostly all Ibanez. A bunch of basses, a couple of guitars. My favorite Sabbath is the Autumn Equinox. I have a video about it that I get bashed on because I call it Mabon or Maybone or whatever you want to call it. But hey, I don't really give a crap. I like to call it what I call it. It's a free world. Psh. Have I ever regretted becoming a witch? Absolutely not. No way. Not. And I regret that I wasn't a witch before sooner. um, but as far as like, regret becoming a witch, absolutely not. Loved it. My all of my time being it, and I will die a witch for sure. Have you ever used dice or playing cards for divination? I have not. I've only used tarot cards. As far as cards, I've only used tarot cards. I haven't used playing cards though. I have a friend that uses playing cards. And I've never heard of really using dice either, other than in bone casting kits. So I have communication problems. Is it okay if I don't speak during my circle casting? Absolutely. Actually, there's something I do with my pagans when I'm training them, where at least one circle we do what's called a silent circle, where I ask them to only cast a circle and do the entire erecting of the temple, as a matter of fact, without using words, and using expression and hand gestures instead. What they feel should be happening, and what they to kind of express the circle casting instead of saying the words. What is your favorite divination method? My favorite divination method is I lay hands. It used to be I used to use tarot for quite a few years, but then ultimately one day I started being able to just divine by just being around a person. Once I just kind of like open myself up, and I can pretty much divine anybody by just being around them. By just being within their energy. I just have to open up, and then I can, sometimes I'll touch them if they don't mind, I'll hold their hand or touch their arm or something like that, and I lay hands, and that's how I divine for people. Have you ever used classic rock / metal in ritual? Big Sabbaths. I have, but tastefully, not like, heavy, not really heavy metal, but I think you want to know a great one that I actually used in a ritual once, and it's one of those. It's from Ozzy Osbourne from Black Sabbath. It's called Planet Caravan. If anybody want, take a listen to that, YouTube it when when you get a chance, listen to that. And I used that in once before, which is considered metal in a metal band, but it doesn't sound like metal at all. I think that when we pass over, it's like life. It's different for everyone. That was from Silver Ghost Cat. Absolutely, I 100% agree with you. I really feel like when you pass on, initially, it's what you feel like is supposed to happen. It's what you've believed, and it's kind of like lessens the blow, so to speak. This is just my opinion. I don't know for a fact, but I do believe that there's different stages to death, just like there's different stages to life, and that when we do pass on, I believe that ultimately it's a very comforting situation, but then as we grow more accustomed to what just happened, um it kind of starts to balance out into what's in general, what happens with everybody. But then again, this is just my opinion. And the other thing is that I believe in death there's no time. I don't believe that there's time, so it's again a very weird one, because I'm over here saying like, in the beginning of death, but there is no beginning of death. I mean, there's just like, because of the fact that there's no time involved. So it's kind of a weird one. Any advice for soon to be parents who would like to bring up a child in the craft, but doesn't want to push it on them? I don't know where to start and about to become a first time parent. Well, I don't have kids myself. So don't really, I don't really have a great answer for you, because I've not experienced that before. But the thing is that from going from experience from many witches that I know that do have kids, if you do push it on them, more than likely, a lot of times they don't follow through. Like anything with kids, if you push things on them, sometimes they just like reject it in the end. So my thing is, you don't push it on them at all. Maybe just let them kind of like naturally let it. The parents that I do know that where their kids are actively pagan, they did not push it on them. They pretty much just it just they just became it just melded with them. You know, they just watched mom and dad doing their stuff all the time and wanted to be part of it. That's the best way to handle that. Let's see. Chantal solution to what to believe. Right. Chantel Pink Tourmaline says, Chantel, I have a 13-year-old and she doesn't practice. Our kids don't get to tell us what to believe, just as we shouldn't tell our children what to believe. Exactly. She agrees exactly. Like Pink Tourmaline says, you don't really want to push it on your kids. You just want to, let them just adapt to it if they want to. Magic in our head or effect outside? No, magic is definitely real. It's not in our head. Magic is absolutely a real practice. The only reason I can say that is because it's actually a real thing. It's a real energy. It's a real living energy. I can say that with confidence because I've already put that to the test. I mean, any magic I do, if I need something, it works, and it always works, even against all odds, even when I think it's not gonna, even when I think like, man, this one's gonna be tough, but I'm gonna do it, and I'm going to be completely positive that it's gonna happen. I don't know how, but I know it's gonna work, and I just know it's gonna happen. And it works. It always works out. It always happens. Granted, I don't do a spell every week. I myself only work spells maybe 5 or 6 times a year. Which is pretty good. If you don't have to work a lot of spells all the time, it means you're doing pretty good in life. So that's the fringe of it. It's I'm drinking honey Jim Beam honey. April, I do want to find a coven locally. Can you point me in the right direction? Get a hold of me back channel. Check your local area call shop. Is it possible to charge bourbon to have more? Is it possible to charge bourbon to have more alcohol? Sorry about being that again, but one more question. If I no longer am able to access the place where he died, will that be a problem? Will I be able to do the ritual then? Yeah, absolutely. You can still do the ritual because it's not about where he died. It's about him, his entity, his soul. Is it possible to do astral projection to enter into the fairy realm? Absolutely. Yes, it is. To answer your question, I recommend you do a path working instead. Path working is a little bit safer, but ultimately, yeah, you can enter astrally. Okay. Tried to work with mirror scrying and always freeze up, as I've always been afraid of mirrors my whole life. Any advice on this one? It's frustrating as I feel the pull to it. So with mirror, I actually have a video about mirror, about magic mirrors. I don't remember what episode it is. Go back and watch that, and that'll tell you everything about it and how I feel about it. Um, Being afraid of the mirror, I mean, I kind of get that. I really do get it. Because especially a black mirror, because in essence it can be a portal, for entities and for mighty ones and spirits to come through. Other times it can be used as a divination tool, which is what your purpose is. The thing is that you have to keep it in your mind that you're using as a divination tool and not as a portal or a doorway. Working scrying like that is difficult at times, but realize that a lot of times that scrying isn't necessarily going to appear before your physical eyes. And sometimes it's going to come into your head instead, into your mind's eye. A lot of people don't realize that about scrying, is that the most powerful scrying actually are images that appear in your mind's eye, not inside the actual device itself, like a magic mirror or a crystal ball or a bowl of water or a fire. A lot of times the trick is to daze out and to go into like a slight trance, and the images come into here, not into the object. Do sometimes come into the object too. That's a reality. But the real good stuff comes into the mind's eye. I've been wondering about shadow working. What is that? Is it hard? Shadow working, I have a video on that also, the shadow self. If you want to go check that out, when when this is over. The thing is that shadow work is not hard at all. It's actually very good to do at least once every couple of years, if not once a year. It's basically what it is everybody has a child self, has a shadow self, that works within them. This is usually a lot of times the shadow self is kind of like the things that we suppress. It's what the feelings and everything we suppress. So a lot of times it shows itself as negative feelings, whether it be sadness, anger, whatever. So it's about shadow work is about coming into balance with those energies, not about getting rid of those energies, because getting rid of those energies would be making you out of balance. It's about working with those energies and balancing with those energies, which in essence brings you to a balance and brings you to peace, that within and without. So that's what shadow work's really about. It's about bringing a balance of peace. Do you work with crystals? I don't work with crystals, but I just started working with crystals. I just did a video on crystals a couple of videos ago, and I explained in that video that I never really worked with crystals. But Pink Tourmaline Witch actually got me into it, sort of. So I actually just started working with them a little bit. Not tremendously, just a little bit. But I haven't worked with them in the 30 odd years I've been doing this. I just never got into crystals. Some people actually asked me, how could you be a witch and not be into crystals? That's ridiculous. I don't know what to say. I just never, I mean, I knew about crystals. Of course I've seen crystals and I know people work with crystals. I just never got into crystals. But you know what, like in the last like couple of weeks, I'd say like the last month, I kind of started giving them some attention. You're an inspiration for male witches. Thank you. Thank you so much. How do you tell the difference between a message you're receiving or your imagination? Um, I think that if you're getting a message and you're not, usually a message comes when you're least expected. If you're thinking and trying to receive a message, there's a good chance, there's a half and half chance that it's going to be your imagination. Usually a message will come when you're least expected. And usually it comes when you're like, when you're relaxed and you have something going on in the background. I get a lot of messages when I'm taking a shower, because I guess there's like that whole noise of like water in the background and I'm nice and relaxed, and all of a sudden I'll just start getting things that come into my head and I'll start getting messages. um Driving in a car, a lot of times, when you're driving down a highway or something like that and you just kind of got the rumble of the road and everything's just kind of, there's just kind of like that whole like trance like state you get into sometimes. You'll receive messages in that situation. So that's my answer for that. Recently moved into high-rise building. Need to place new lightning jar. Only dirt is 20-25 feet across parking lot. Suggestions. Thank you. Yeah, go. You don't have to bury your witch's bottle in your area. You can even take it to a nearby area and build it. And bury it. Sorry, that's normal. There's people that have to go a mile away to a park or something like that. It's okay. Just do it. How do you suggest we choose our witch name, or when is the time to do it? Been practicing for years, but never have chosen one yet. You choose do now. Go for it, man. Get a name. When you feel like you're ready to take on a craft name, which when I have when I bring in pagans into my coven, that's one of the first things they do. I tell them, start researching a name. And how you do it is got a video on that. Your witchcraft, your witch name, and numerology tied together. It's one of my videos. I think it's like episode 13 or something like that. I don't remember. Maybe episode 16. I don't remember. But go check out that video. It'll tell you exactly what to do to research a name and how to get your witch name. What is your favorite element to work with? Oh man. Well, I'm a fire guy. I love fire. Like I'm a Sagittarian, which is a fire sign. The third one. I know that I'm not real big on astrology. I'm not a huge astrology nut. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be doing a video on astrology coming up very soon, and I'm going to have a guest do it though because I need to learn about that too. But I'm a Sagittarian, work with fire, and I just love fire. I think that's probably my favorite element. Is there a way to talk to my son that's 9? His evil dad took off with him to get at me, and it's been so hard to get into court. He sold his soul to the devil, and I'm worried about my son. Is there any way to talk to my son that's 9? Oof. That's something that you would have to, I can't really answer that. That's something you might want to talk to somebody legally, maybe. I'm a Norse pagan, and unfortunately, there's a lot of racism in the Norse pagan community. Um, I find that very sad. Everyone is entitled to believe what they want. Mind if I ask what your views are on Norse pagan? Um, I mean, I don't really know a lot about Norse pagan. As far as like, I know about it, but I don't really follow it. So I believe that anybody who has racism in their life, that's a touchy one, but yeah, but I mean, I don't know, I think I'm totally anti-racist. I mean, I'm not racist. I don't believe anybody should be racist. I think that's ridiculous. So if that's part of your religion, come on, man, get a life. Thank you on scrying advice. Another question about mirrors. I have heard you can lock mirrors from being a portal. Have you heard of this? And if so, how's it done? Um, I I don't I'll make a mirror for divination, or I'll make a mirror to be a portal. I don't do both. I never make a divination mirror a portal. I or vice versa. So when I specifically make the mirror and create the mirror, I either create it as a divinatory tool or I create it as a portal. So that's how you would do that. Again, watch my video on magic mirrors, and I think I talk about that a little bit. If you want absolute specific instructions on making a magic mirror as a portal, hit me up back channel, and I'll see if I can't explain a little bit better. Have you worked with Christians who became Wiccan? And if so, what's some good advice for the transition? It's hard to miss what was left behind. I've worked with many Christians who have transitioned to Wicca. I've worked with Wiccans who actually use Jesus as their deity, as their God, for so to speak. So is it possible? Absolutely. The transition is really letting go of some of the dogma that Christianity brings with it, because Wicca doesn't do that. It doesn't really have a dogma. So the transition is really just letting go of the Christianity. It's funny because my witch queen once told me One of my first coveners that I ever had back, about 20 something years ago, they were Christian, like born again Christian, and then ultimately came into Wicca. And she asked my witch queen, she said, um, I don't want it. She told my witch queen, she said, I love Jesus and I don't want to let go of Jesus. And my witch queen looked right at her and said, oh, honey, you don't have to let go of Jesus. He'll let go of you. And it was like, kind of blew her away a little bit. But you know what? It's exactly, she ultimately transitioned quite well. Did you bless your hat? No. What's the best herb to use for personal protection? I love resin like incense. Now, well, that's like a resin though. But I mean, I love like frankincense and stuff. I love using like resins, like frankincense and copal and dragon's blood for things like that have to do with protection. It's probably because to me it's like it's strong and just like it's like just like balls to the wall like umph. Um, Other herbs for protection that I believe are some good herbs for protection, I think, like rosemary is something with that, works for a little good protection. But you can get that Scott Cunningham book I was telling you about, that I tell about people about all the time, Incense, Oils, and Brews. And there's actually whole things in there, whole whether you're making a sachet or an oil or just an incense or whatever, on all of these things with protection and whatnot. And I have a video about protection specifically. I think it's my second episode. Go check that out and it'll give you some more information. Rosemary, clove, cinnamon for protection. Excellent. Exactly. Perfect. Yeah. According to the Bible and Christianity, they say that people should only use prayer and the ability that God and the angels give you through prayer. What happens if we look to magic according to, I mean, if you follow Christianity, then you're going to do what Christianity wants you to do. I mean, there's magic all throughout the Bible, and there's many books that were thrown out of the Bible that had to do a lot with magic. During the Nicene Council, they tore the Bible apart and did away with all of the magic that was in the Bible for the most part. So even our good Christians and even our the Kabbalists, the Jews and whatnot from the Old Testament, there was magic in all of these books. Do you include live plants in your practice? If so, which ones? Um, I do not. I really never really messed with it before. We always do flowers on the altar. Um, on an altar before we always have flowers on an altar for a ritual. In essence, that's kind of like a sacrifice, because there's sacrifice in almost every ritual, and that's what your sacrifice is that plant. What books were thrown out? Oh man, like to give you an example, the so one of them that was found recently was a whole book on Mary. What was it called? But basically the Dead Sea Scrolls, if I'm not mistaken, like I think the Dead Sea Scrolls are a lot of these books. Um, but there's an entire book that just got discovered on Mary Magdalene, that was thrown out. It's not part of the Bible, but now it's in a museum somewhere where it's been translated. And you can actually, I think you can even look it up and Google it, and you can read about it. Can you use shadow work to illuminate your shadow, or at least minimize it and make it gray? Well, no, you're using shadow work to balance out your shadow. It's not about It's not about black or white or anything like that. It's just about your shadow work is to basically it's to balance out your negativities. Do you believe there is a difference between a magic practitioner and the word witch? Well, a magic practitioner is a person who practices magic, and a witch, the word witch is this. You mean, is there a difference between a magic practitioner, like a magician, and a witch? Well, yeah, it's two different practices. Most ceremonial magicians are that's a practice. Ceremonial magic, for instance, is a practice, where Wicca is a religion, and witchcraft is also a practice, but witchcraft to many is also a religion. So it's kind of confusing, but like, to me as a Gardnerian, witchcraft is my religion. But a lot of people will say no, because witchcraft is a practice. But as a Gardnerian witch, witchcraft is our religion. We call it witchcraft. Others will call it Wicca. But that being said, Wicca and witchcraft um, can be stouted as two different things, but it just depends on where you're looking at it from. But as a ceremonial magician, you can be a Christian and be a ceremonial magician. You can be a Jew and be a ceremonial magician. You can be a Wiccan and be a ceremonial magician. It's just, that's a practice. What is your stance on hexing? You got to do what you got to do, and it harm none, but take no shit. What does seeing a shadow person suggest? I've actually been there, done that, seen it. Scary. Was very young when I saw him, but I think that that's a person coming to see you. I believe it's an entity coming to get your attention. Is it wrong to still be Christian and be a witch? No, not at all. You can do whatever you want to do. The only thing is, the way I see it, you can be a Christian witch, but you can't be a witch. How do you do this? So if you're a Christian first, in other words, it's going to be hard to be a witch, because Christianity won't allow it. But if you're a Christian, you can totally be a witch. I think it's really like, you just can't be a witch. You can't be a Christian witch, but you can be a witch that's Christian. It's kind of hard to explain. But the thing is that if you're Christian first and you're trying to be a witch, then the fact is that Christianity won't allow it. So in that sense, no, because you can't do it. But if you're a Christian and you want to practice witchcraft, you can totally do it. It's just that you have to keep it to yourself, because the second you bring it out to other people, you're done. Thank you. I hope my move goes good too. Wasn't there a book that was thrown out, or at least made in the same time, that went into more detail about Lucifer? Probably. I don't know for a fact, though. Which is a state of being. Yeah, which is a state of being. No, I agree with that. Which is it's a state. It is. It really is a lifestyle, so to speak. You have a unique insight on Christianity. Did you previously study Christian beliefs, and what have been your personal experiences with those leaving cults based belief systems? I.e., okay. I was not Christian. I was no religion before I was Wiccan. My first religion was Wicca. Before that, I was just nothing. My parents really didn't raise me anything, so I just was nothing really. I mean, I kind of believed in God, like a higher power, but that's about, that was the extent of it. And what have been your personal experiences with those leaving cult-based belief systems? I haven't really I haven't really met anybody, well, actually, that worked in a cult-based system. I mean, I've only had people come that I've experienced with, either Jewish people or Christians, for the most part. And none of them were really tied that much to their previous religion to where it was an issue. One person was, maybe a couple, but my experience with them is that They kind of work with both, to be honest. They never let go completely of the old way, of their old religion. They never let go of it. But that's okay, because you can do that. You can do that as a Wiccan. You can embrace, it doesn't have to be this way or the highway. That's what makes Wicca and witchcraft awesome, is there is no my way or the highway syndrome. You can do both. Amber LaRogue said, as a Christian, I just incorporated Wiccan practices while keeping the same higher power beliefs. So I just tell people I'm not religious, I'm spiritual, or a Christo Wiccan. That's a great, exactly. She incorporated the both, just like I mentioned. When would you consider someone a witch? When would you consider somebody a witch? I don't think that there's a time frame to it. I think that if you practice witchcraft and you do these things, you're a witch. I mean, it's not like if you've been doing it for a year, you're a witch now, or anything like that. I mean, if you practice these things and you practice what the practices of witchcraft are, I'm not going to go into you're a witch if, because I hate those videos. You know you're a witch if, can't stand that shit. If you practice witchcraft, then you're a witch. There you go. Gina Rutledge said it good too, right there. If you're practicing witchcraft, you're a witch. As a Wiccan, are there any gods or goddesses you work with outside of your worship of the god and goddess? No. I only work with the masculine and feminine. I only work with the Lord and Lady, the god and goddess. I don't work with any specific deities. So when you become initiated, do you need to give up Christianity? No, you do not. You do not need to give up Christianity. My witch queen, my person who brought me up, my high priestess that I love dearly, is very, very Jewish, but also Wiccan, and very Jewish. Like, celebrates all of the holidays. Her whole family's Jewish, but she is a practicing Wiccan just as well. Yeah. Okay. I'm conflicted about protecting myself and sending back negativity. Is there a good balance? The witch's bottle. Just do the witch's bottle. Do you think a specific American witchcraft style is developing that will be unique as opposed to traditional European witchcraft? I don't know about that. I think that the traditional European styles, the British traditional witchcrafts, anything I've seen that has come around since British traditional, which is your Alexandrians, Gardnerian, Georgian, Blue Star, things like this. They're all mostly eclectic. What they do, there's nothing that's where it all started. It was Gardnerians. So the thing is that you don't really, all you see is eclecticism. So it's only bits and pieces that are taken from something else. That's why a lot of the traditional witchcraft groups you see out there today, they have Wicca throw up all over them, because they're basically, you're practicing. I mean, you're not practicing Wicca, but I don't want to offend anybody, but like a lot of these traditional witchcraft people, they have a huge problem with, they can't seem to, they bash on Wicca, and because they have this tendency to believe that Wicca is all white light, and that there's these people that if you're Wiccan, you turn the other cheek and you never do anything, and everything's white lighter and all this other stuff, which is the biggest crock of bullshit that exist. That is not true at all. Maybe there's some Wiccans nowadays in the last couple of years or something that are white lighters, like a lot of people are nowadays, that are in many religions where they have these new outlooks on things. But a British traditional witchcraft, Gardnerian, Alexandrian, Georgian, these traditions of witchcraft are all but white lighter witchcrafts. Trust me on that. The last thing you want to do is fuck with a Gardnerian, Alexandrian, any of these traditions. You fuck with that witch and you're going to get fucked right back. So you don't, they're not white lighters that are going to turn the other cheek. And I don't understand why I see so many content creators out there, so many content creators that have this thing about Wicca, where they're like, oh, well, this isn't Wicca because Wicca is all about white light and they don't do that. I'm so full of shit. You learn, man. Don't just say that shit. You got to do your research and learn before you say shit like that, because that's crap. That is not true at all. And I speak very passionately about that because it drives me crazy when I see that false information going out there about us. But as far as like these, a tradition of Wicca that will take precedence, I don't see it happening. I think it would have started happening already. I think that there's a lot of eclecticism out there. I think that there's a lot of people that have picked up books and picked out bits and pieces and everything, and they put their own thing together. That happens on a daily basis. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. Totally commend it, totally support it. But I don't think that there's going to be some overall one Wicca. And the day there is this overall one Wicca, it's going to also have a one Pope. And that's the day I get out of it, because I don't deal with, a higher authority in that sense, where one person's telling me what I can and can't do religiously. I'm going to scroll up here for a second. Do you think you would ever do reaction videos? I tried Witchcraft for a Day type videos. I actually, you know what? I might actually try that sometime. I might try that. My moon sign is Sagittarius also. So from what I understand, I had somebody do, the person I'm actually going to have come do the video about astrology with us all and do that video, actually did my astrology chart. And she said, so I'm a Sagittarius, my sun sign's a Sagittarius, my moon is a Sagittarius also, but my what do they call it, the other sign, the rising, my rising is a Libra. Am I familiar with Druidry? A little bit, but not tremendously. I'm actually going to do a video on Druidism, and I'm going to have an expert Druid come in and do that video as a guest. Her name is Ash, and she's going to teach us all about Druidism. She's been a practicing Druid for, I think, like over 30 years. So it's going to be really cool, and I can't wait to do it. I'm going to do that one before I move to New Hampshire. I'm not moving to New Hampshire until August. So I'm trying to get as many of the guests that I know down here in now, because once I move, I can't have those guests. I tend to like to have the guests sitting right next to me. I don't like to do that stuff where they're talking to me over the, over like a video phone or over the, the computer and whatnot. I like to have them right sitting next to me. Scrolling through. The party, do you have any recommendations for ritual ideas I can do with King Peralda with the air journey? I'm 15 days into the second part, and its majority changed my life. I think you're saying that, did you actually go to my elementals video where I do like the path working with air and everything, where you actually meet King Peralda and work with them? If you want to put a ritual together for him, the best thing you can do is do an altar for him. If you want to put a ritual together, you just put a ritual together that revolves everything around air, correspondences and everything else, and just kind of build it. Don't make it too difficult. Don't make it too extreme. Very simple. As a person coming to witchcraft in my late 50s, do I have enough time in the rest of my time on earth to learn and practice? I believe Gardner came to witchcraft late in his life. He absolutely came to witchcraft late in his life. In a sense, yeah, absolutely. So he was very magical his whole life, and he worked with other magical practices from the time he was younger, but he did not come into witchcraft until much later in life, for sure. Witchcraft itself. So absolutely, you're never too old to start. I mean, that's crazy. Do you have any plans to ever interview a hoodoo practitioner? I highly recommend Co Meadows. If so, she's down in Mobile, Alabama, and she grew up in it. I don't, but I can tell you one thing. There's there's another YouTube creator out there, another content creator. And I watch her quite often. She's part of the House of Witchcraft. Her name is Taryn S. If you go to her, I think she has actually books on some of these things and on hoodoo and whatnot. So, and she practices. She's actually a crossroads witch, what they call crossroads witch, which is this traditional witchcraft thing I was telling you about, where I don't 100% understand it, but it's definitely different. But she also does like hoodoo practice. Maybe check her out too. Can love spells go wrong and make you stay single? You don't want to do love spells. You can do a love spell if it has to do with bringing somebody into your life that you're not picking out specifically. In general, you're trying to bring love into your life, that's fine. If you're targeting a specific person, just stay away from it. Don't do it, because it's going to fail in the end. I recently just went through a divorce not too long ago, literally within the last year. And part of it had to do with that. It wasn't me. It was actually cast on me. And that bulked out in the end, so to speak. Yeah, the staying is an altar. Yeah, in traditional witchcraft and like crossroads, I don't know if they're the same thing, but I know in traditional witchcraft, they use a stang as an altar, and they actually stick a stang in the ground. And I believe they have when they call the quarters, they do what's called balancing the compass or something like that, and they put all their altar goes down below the stang. The thing is that a lot of these like traditional witchcraft people, they get a little upset sometimes because they can't tend to get away from Wicca. A lot of their practice has to do with the same thing. For instance, even though they're setting up an altar on the ground, supposedly, from what I understand, forgive me if I'm wrong, but they're still putting an altar together. They're still casting a circle. They're still calling quarters. They're still working with the god and goddess. They're still doing everything that has Wicca all over it. That was from Wicca. That was from Gerald Gardner. So they tend to get a problem with, why does this have throw up all over it? Why does it have Wiccan throw up all over it? Why is my practice, I don't want to do Wicca? Why is it doing it? Because that's where it came from. Sorry to say, but that's where it came from. So you're going to have it on there. It's going to be touching it. You're going to get your hands dirty with it. It just is what it is. Do you think fried chicken and mashed potatoes is good for dinner? Absolutely, but let's do roast chicken instead. I don't want to do the fried chicken. On your way to New Hampshire, can you stop by Connecticut? I think we're going to drive through, so I missed the first 2 minutes of this live. Did you say what the catalyst is for you to decide to move, or is that personal to ask? I went to visit New Hampshire a couple of times last year. And when I went to Salem, Massachusetts, that I've kind of discussed out throughout some of my videos. and I just completely fell in love with New Hampshire. I'm tired of Florida, tired of South Florida. I've lived here my whole life, born and raised here, born and raised in this same house. Actually, I've never left this house. I was born and raised in this very house. Just tired of it. I want to change. 48 years old. I'm ready to take a different journey. I mean, it's that simple. I'm just ready to take a different journey. I'm just so happy I can bring all of you guys along with me. You guys like totally don't realize this, but you guys have all become such like family to me. I've grown to know so many of you who post regularly and post these things, and a lot of you that contact me back channel, and I just love all you guys and girls so much, like seriously. And the thing is like so I try to keep you in my life as much as possible, as far as telling you when things are happening and when they're gonna, what's going on. That being said, that's why I was very open about a lot of the stuff I talk about. So yeah, why am I going to New Hampshire? Because I love it. I think it's awesome. And recently I learned more about it, that it makes it even more awesome. And I love the 4 seasons. I love the snow. I freaking love snow. And a lot of people tell me, well, it's one thing to visit it, but it's another thing to live in it. I don't freaking care. I'm freaking going to live in it, and I'm going to love it. And it's just everything about it. I just can't wait. I'm so psyched. I just got to sell my house. And my videos coming from New Hampshire are going to be even better, especially in the wintertime when I get to do some outside shit right there in the snow. It's going to be awesome. Is there a special way to complete a spell? Example, so mote it be. And many say that spells should rhyme to be most effective. Is this true? You should totally use a finalization for every spell, so mote it be, for instance. Or some will say, so be it. But the thing is the only reason it's cool to rhyme a spell is because it's easier to remember that way. It's easier to remember something if it rhymes. And a lot of times with a spell, you kind of want to chant it. There's a famous one out there, like work and wish and will with me as I do will, so mote it be. That's like a famous one out there that's something that it rhymes, and it can be chanted over and over, and plus it flows, and it just is magical. When things rhyme, it's just magical. That's why a lot of people will rhyme with their spells. Will you ever make a video on working with ancestors? I've always been curious about the topic, but I haven't found many good videos on it. Absolutely, I'll do a video on working with ancestors for sure. I'll put it on my list. What happens when a love spell goes wrong? How do I fix it? I think I repelled it instead by accident. What happens when a love spell goes wrong? Well, depends on what kind of love spell you did. Did you do a love spell on someone specific, or did you do it just in general? Like candle, candle burning bright, transform my darkness into light. Love it. Very cool. Who invented the Devil Witch? Probably Hollywood. Have you ever seen the band How Long? I have not. Not seen it, so I can't answer the rest of it. To attract love in general, you did a spell and you think it backfired. Do it again. If you're just doing it in general, just do it again. Be more sincere. Maybe use some sex magic while you do it. If you're trying to attract love, but there's no reason why you can't, masturbate, for instance. That works also for sex magic, and that works great with love spells. Okay, I got 10 more minutes, people. I'm gonna stay on for 10 more minutes till 9 o'clock, and then I'm gonna boot. Apparently, I got some roast chicken and mashed potatoes coming at me. see. Rhyming helps with memory and raising energy. True. I wash sesame seeds down the stream in I'm in British Columbia, Canada. Please give me some advice. Meditation is not working. So again, how do I deal with repetitive dreams that randomly continue from a night to another and manifest in reality? I'm just worried. How do I deal with repetitive dreams that randomly continue from night to night and manifest in reality? That's a good one. So you're having reoccurring dreams that are actually manifesting? That's some pretty intense messages. Can you hit me up back channel and give me more specifics on that? And maybe I can help you out there. I just need more specifics though. Is it bad to blow out candles and spells? Some people told me it's bad to do that, but some people told me it's okay. It's just a matter of preference and practice. The way I do it is, I snuff out all my candles. I use my fingers. That's the bottom line. I use my fingers. Always snuff my candles. My quarter candles are always cylinder candles, so I blow those out. But the practice is during spells, you don't want to blow out a spell candle, is what's said, because you're apparently possibly blowing the magic too. But I don't believe that. And others will say that it's because the element of air is blowing out the fire, and it's kind of like an insult in that sense. Here's a good practice. If you need to, always snuff your candles out with your fingers or a snuffer. If you have to blow them out, don't blow out spell candles. Only blow out your ritual candles, if that makes any sense. What is the best way to manifest abundance? The best way to manifest abundance is to balance your life. Go look at my video on the elements. Go look at my video on shadow work. Balance your life and you will continually manifest abundance. What's the most profound experiences you have had since becoming a witch? Man, like the most profound experience I've ever had. Oh man. I mean, I can tell you some of the best things I've had since becoming a witch is the family and friends that I've made since becoming a witch is just unbelievable. That never would have happened if I wasn't a witch. I've met so many awesome people and so many wonderful people, and becoming a witch made so many things happen for me, like my band, Witches Mark, my covens, everybody in them, joining different groups of different things, joining different churches, Universalist Unitarian churches, and all of those people involved with those. I would say my most profound experiences that I've developed since becoming a witch is the realization that magic is real. The realization that other worlds and other beings are absolutely real. I'd say the most profound experiences I've had were all of these things that even when I started doing witchcraft that I thought were still kind of like far-fetched, I now 30 years later are absolutely real and experience them all on a daily basis. So I'd say my most profound experiences are actually still occurring quite often. So I got my shirt off of my store, which in the working, it's wntwstore.com. You can see it in my video, some of my later videos. I think most of my videos have the link to the store in the description below. And there's things you can buy there, and that's where I got the shirt from. See at the bottom it says "Witch in the Working." Yay! How do you contact me? Back channel. You can do Facebook Messenger, my Witch in the Working page there, or in every one of my videos at the bottom of in the description, I have an email address, which is witchintheworking@gmail.com. My favorite style of spellcasting is absolutely 110% candle magic. Love, love, love candle magic. I always incorporate candle magic, and I use the 7-day cylinder candles. If you look at my video on how to dress a candle, and I have another video also on candle magic, watch those, and that's the magic I do all the time. That's my favorite. What are your back channels? My emails. That's like when you, in other words, you contact me outside of the main so it's kind of like a personal chat between me and you. I talk to people all the time. I get back channel messages every single day, and I read every single comment on every single one of my videos, and I respond to, even if it's just hearting the comment, I respond to every single comment that I get. And I'm still able to do that. I think I got 17,500 subscribers right now, and it's not too much. Eventually it'll probably get to where it's really difficult, but right now it's not. And I respond to everybody, and I do the best I can to help whoever gets a hold of me, back channel, so to speak. Do you use garlic on your mashed potatoes? I get the garlic butter mashed potatoes, man. That's like of course. How does my family feel about me being a witch? Well, my family's all dead, so I couldn't ask. I don't know. I mean, that's not true. I have 2 sisters, and and I just don't communicate with them very much. They and that they could care less, I guess. I don't really. I guess they could care. They support me. Yeah. Why long hair? I don't know. I just like it. I've had long hair my whole life, and I just kind of like it. Why not? I mean, it's my power. No, not really. I just like it. I just like it. I think probably because also being in a band, and like having the long hair, kind of like, when you're on stage, if you go look at some of my music videos, you'll see me like totally just rocking out on stage with my hair and everything. So that's like, yeah, 17,000. That's not too much. I know. I mean, it is what it is. Very humble. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's, again, I don't do this for subscribers. I do this because I love teaching and telling people about witchcraft and Wicca. I mean, if I could care less about how many subscribers I have, honestly, I really could. I mean, the more the better, because feel like I'm getting a message out there to more people, and I'm getting my thoughts out there to more people. So I kind of really like that. But as far as like, on this mad dash where, oh my God, I got to have like 1 million subscribers. I mean, kind of like part of me is like, that's awesome, again, because I feel like I'm getting my message really out there at that point. So I really like that. But, it is what it is. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. Does your shop ship to Canada? I think so. I think it ships all over the world. Actually, that happened the opposite. Okay, where my hair got caught in my strings and about yanked my guitar out of my hands. My singer Karina, Skye, she was in the last video I did on yoga. That was the singer in the band. She really goes off with her hair too. And there's been a couple of times where I'll be standing next to her, especially on a tight stage, and her hair will get wrapped up in my bass knobs, in my tuning knobs, and then I have to like she'll start to walk away, and like I'm like being yanked. I'm like, oh shit, you know. So yeah, I know that happens. What's your favorite video you made on the channel? I think my favorite video I made was the one on channeling. I love that video a lot because it was completely from the heart. It was completely me just talking from the heart and trying to explain to people something that comes from the heart. So it was very, very personal and very, very felt. That was my favorite video, the one on channeling. All right, everybody. Looks like my time is up here. It's going to be 9 o'clock in a second. So I thank everybody so much for coming on and sharing this time with me. And I hope I got to answer some of your questions. And if I missed a question, I'm sorry. There's so much going on in the chat. It's like hard to scroll up and down and figure it out. I think this video will end up being on being one of the videos that's on my thing. So if anybody ever wants to go back and watch it, they can totally do that. But bye everybody. And thank you so much for coming. Blessed be to everybody. And I love you guys and gals. And I'll see you next time.